Okay, so today we're going to wrap up our chapter on conditional probability with 11.4. We're going to learn to find conditional probabilities and tables. We're not going to work with the tree diagrams, but we're going to use tables to determine these conditional probabilities. So right now, and I'm sure you finished yesterday or last night, you need to work yesterday's problems on your study guide 8, 9, and 10. And then today we'll do 11 and 12, and then we'll go over the study guide. So we've got just a little bit to do on this assignment. Okay, so you should have passed up 11.3, and I'll collect that now. While you're finishing these problems, make sure your study guide's done and evaluate this one, 5P3 and 7C2. This was part of that carousel thing that I did last year. Oh, you already passed them down. Great. Okay. All right. And don't forget to check these on your calculator. So it says to evaluate, and this is just a quick review. I would have loved for it to have been a quiz. All right. So the first thing I ask you to do, other than work your study guide problems, 8, 9, and 10, is to evaluate these two problems. So we have 5P3 and 7C2. I'm dropping things. On the 5P3, that's a probability. So we know that our n is equal to 5 and 3 is r is equal to 3. So I put the formulas right there. NPR is n factorial over n minus r factorial, and NCR is n factorial over r factorial times n minus r factorial. So we want to take this and work with it. So our 5P3, we know it's going to be 5 factorial over 5 minus 3 factorial, which is 5 factorial over 2 factorial. Well, we can simplify that, right? Because 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and 2 factorial is 2 times 1. So our 2's and our 1's cancel out, and we're left with 5 times 4 times 3, which is 20 times 3, which is 60. So let's double check that on our calculator. So turn it on, and we learned how to do the probability and combinations on here. So you're going to go clear. So to clear your whole calculator, hold the on button and hit your clear button, and it will say memory cleared. Next, you want to press the 5 button and then go to PRB, the probability, and you have 3 choices. Choice 1 is NPR, 2 is NCR, and 3 is factorial. Well, we want 1, the P. So press 1. And now it says 5 NPR. Now we're going to press our R value, 3. And press enter. And it should come up with 60. Your calculator face should look like this. 5 NPR 3. And then down here at the other end, you've got 60. This is your answer. Okay? So that's how you check your work. The next one, we've got C. So that's this formula, right? So we've got 7C2. So you're going to have 7. Hold on. So it's going to be 7 factorial over 2 factorial times 7 minus 2 factorial. 7 minus 2 is 5. So we've got 7 factorial over 2 factorial times 5 factorial. And we can simplify that to 7 times 6 times 5 factorial. I'm going to leave it in terms of that because that's what's on the bottom that I'm trying to cancel out. right? Because 5 factorial is just 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So all of those would cancel out. And 2 factorial is just 2 times 1, which is 2. Now, this comes out to 42 divided by 2, which is 21. Now, double check it with your calculator with the NCR. So it's going to be 7C2. So press 7, probability. Either use your cursor down to number 2, NCR, press enter, and then type 2, enter. And it should come up with 21. Any questions on how to do that? Okay, so that was just a quick review of what we've done in the past. Now let's move on. Today's lesson is about conditional probabilities. And it says the probability, oh, we did this earlier and I just shut the whole thing down. Oh no, let's doing it again. Okay, I'm just going to leave the shade off of it. The probability that event B will occur given that another event A has already occurred is called a conditional probability. So this exists when the two events are dependent. It means you can't have one without the other. Like, give me all the female students who graduated in 2018. So you can't have those students wouldn't exist if you didn't have a total for 2018, right? So you have to have one with the other. So you write this as, right here, you write the conditional probability of event B given that event A occurs as the probability of event B given that A occurs. Okay, so the bar means given that. And this event A occurs. Okay. The conditional probability of event B given that event A occurs. Okay? So that's how we read these. Now, let's move on and see how we work them. So, it says in education, this table shows students by gender at 2- and 4-year colleges and also graduate schools in 2005. You pick a student at random. Now, if I pick a student at random, what is the conditional probability given that the event female, that will have female given that they are in graduate school occurs? Right? So I don't worry so much about the terminology because I just got it wrong. I may probably get it wrong every time. What I look at is I understand the terminology. I've got a bar here. It means I've got two events. Okay, the second event is my denominator and it's the one that we're going to total up. Okay, thank you. And the one on top is what percentage of this is occurring, and it goes here. Do you have a pass?
No, I was helping Nikki because we aren't in PBIS anymore for nurses, and I just took a junior class.
I have to have a pass. Okay.
Sorry.
All right, so what we want to do is we're looking for all the graduates. So how many graduates are here in the graduate school? So here's our graduate schools column right there. So these are in thousands. So we have 1,349,000 and 1,954,000. I'm from here forward I'm going to leave the 1,000 off and we're just going to work with these, but understand that these are written in thousands. So that's like 1,349,000. This one's 1,954,000, right? So we're going to add these two numbers together, and that's what goes on the denominator. So 3,303. And then how many of these graduates were female? Well, here's our female column. So it's this right there, 1954. So it's 1954 over 3303, so that comes out to about 0.59. And in most of these answers, they usually take it to 2 decimal places round where necessary. And that's also 59%. Okay, so 59% of the females, you've got a 59% chance of getting a female from graduate school. Okay, any questions on that one? All right, let's move to the next one. So now it says, what is P probability of picking a female out of all that? So you're going to get the total number of students, so all students, so look back. Come on. There it is. So all the students together, all of this, and on top is all the females. So, whoops, wrong way. So, all of these. So, all the females is your denominator over all students is the denominator. Numerator, denominator. Okay? So, when you do that, you get about 57%. Okay? Let's look at our assignment and let's work this together. This thing's going crazy. Okay, number 1 says use a table to find each probability, and it's all about guitars. And they break it down into acoustic guitars and electric guitars. And within each one of those categories, you have tan, black, and blue, right? So let's look at what they're asking. They want to know, look at number 1, what's the conditional probability of getting a black out of the acoustics? So if we just draw something out of here, getting a black acoustic guitar out of all the acoustics, well, we've got to, that second term is your denominator. So total up all your acoustics, 78 plus 34 plus 12, which is 274. Oh no, 124. I'm looking at an old paper here. And, oh, actually they have it right there. And then how many of those are black? 34 of those. So it's 34 over 124, which is 0.274, or roughly 27%. And all day long, students ask me, is it going to be in decimal or percentage? It's going to be both. So you just have to look at your ABCD choices on your test and see, is it in percentage? If so, move your decimal 2 places and add the percent sign. Okay. If it's not, then you don't have to. All right, let's look at number 2. So what's the conditional probability of drawing a tan, given that they're all electric? So again, all electric. So that total for all electric is 114. So that's our denominator. And they want to know what's the probability of doing the tan, right? Tan electric. So that's 42. There it is, 42 over 114. That comes to about 0.368, or roughly 37%. Okay? Work number 3 real quick. Is that the door again? Oh my goodness. So work that quickly. Thank you. Isaac or Paisley? You'll probably be back. But if not, my next hour is lunch, so I'll just hold your stuff. Just knock. Okay, so what do we have? What's our total number of electric? I already gave you that one, 114. So that's your denominator. And what percentage of those are blue? Or how many of those are blue? 16. So 16 over 114 comes out to about what? 14%, so 0.14 or 14%. Good job. Any questions over that? Yes.
When you get to number 4, it says acoustic 10 instead of 10 acoustic. Does
Mhm.
that change what you do?
It does change. Remember the second one. So that means what's the probability of choosing an acoustic given that they're all 10? So given that they're all 10, that becomes your denominator. So get all of your 10 guitars. So there they are. All 10 guitars is 78 plus 42, which is 120, right? So that's what goes on bottom now. And then how many of those were acoustic? 78. So the first one's always your numerator, the second one's always your denominator, and the second one is always the one you total up. Okay? Any questions on this one? So what does that equal? About 65% on that one. Right? Now work 5 and 6 real quick. And remember the acoustic, they already totaled, it's 124. Okay, so you should be pretty close to finished. On number 5, you're going to total, it says, given that they're all acoustic. So you're going to total the acoustics, so that's 124. What's the probability to get the event of 10, which is 78. We have 78 10 acoustics. So 78 over 124 is equal to 63%. And then the last one, what's the conditional probability of event electric, given that they're all blue events, right? So we're going to total all blues. So all blue guitars, that's 28. And out of those, we have 16 electric blue guitars. So you've got a 16 and 28 chance. So 57%. Any questions over those? Okay. All right, so let's look at the next thing. Americans recycle increasing amounts through municipal waste collection. The table shows the collection data for 2007. What's the probability that a sample of recycled waste is paper? So what's the probability of the sample, that a sample of recycled waste is paper? So what are we going to do? Well, you need to write the probability. So they want paper. That's what's going to go first, given that they are all recycled. So that means we're going to total all the recycle, and then what part of that is paper. So when you total all the recycled, you're going to add all these up. Here it is. Oh my gosh. It's interruption day. And then what part of those are paper? 45.2. And so, thank you. That was quick. And so when you add those up, it's about 57%. So it's still just more of the same thing that we're doing, except you're taking it from words this time. Let's look at your last homework here on number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I want you to work these real quick. Let's work the first one together, 7. It says the following table shows national employment statistics. Use the table to find each probability. So males, given that they're all professional. So given that they're all professional, then we're going to total up all the professionals. And then the males of those is your numerator. Right? So total these up. That's going to be a 7, 3, 9, 8, 9, 3, 7, right? So 8937 on the bottom, on the denominator. Oh, and I can't write. And your numerator is how many of those were male? 4190. And what does that come out to? About 0.47 or 47%. Okay, so if there's no other questions, finish these quickly. I'll throw the answers up here, just the answers only, but I want to see your work, and then we're going to pass them forward, and then you've got a video. If you finish these before I start the video, do number 11 and 12 on your study guide. Okay. I've got to start that video now. So wherever you're at now on your homework page, just stop and pass that forward. I won't count off if you didn't finish all 12 of them. Just pass them forward and work your last